Iraq economic news and points to ponder Saturday AM the 7th of December 24. Listen to the full version on the official dinarreport.com website and become our supporter on Patreon. Economic. The parallel market sells the dollar at a price not subject to government control. December 6, 1444 Information, Baghdad. Economic affairs researcher Dia Abdul Karim said on Friday that the Iraqi parallel market sells the dollar to citizens at a price that is not subject to state control, pointing out that the absence of control will create a crisis with any tension that the country may go through. Abdul Karim told Al-Maluma, "There is silence from the government regarding the parallel market and the price at which the dollar is sold to citizens. And this silence will generate a real crisis within the market if the country goes through any emergency circumstances or tensions that may occur in the coming days." He added, "Most people heading to the parallel market want to obtain the dollar for urgent travel purposes, or to urgently purchase medicine from abroad, or for the purpose of purchasing cars from approved showrooms." He stated that, "The government can open a window in government banks that allows the citizen to obtain the dollar for the purpose of buying a car, or give him a check for the amount to be disbursed after signing the purchase contract officially and certified by the traffic department, in order to avoid the corruption that occurs in the buying and selling of the dollar." Parliamentary Integrity accuses a former employee of the Iraqi Central Bank of being behind the U.S. sanctions. Politics breaking the 1st of December 2024 Shafaq News, on Sunday. The Parliamentary Integrity Committee accused a former employee of the central bank of being behind the banking sanctions imposed on some Iraqi banks by the U.S. Federal Bank. The number of sanctioned banks is 32 out of 72 banks operating in Iraq. Member of the Parliamentary Integrity Committee, Vian Dakil, said in a statement received by Shafaq News Agency, that a former employee of the central bank hid the emails received by the Federal Bank, JP Morgan, and Citibank to inquire about some topics related to the bank's work. She added that failure to answer these issues caused some banks to be punished, stressing that most banks do not know the reason for the sanctions against them. On the other hand, economic expert, Mustafa Akram Hantoush, told Shafaq News Agency that the statements of members of the Parliamentary Integrity Committee are closer to reality than the statements of the Central Bank of Iraq. He added that the collapse of the Iraqi banking system and the punishment of 32 Iraqi banks without a clear charge during a period of a year and a half is not normal, and in terms of banking, this may be the first incident of this kind in the world. Hantoush noted that what is worse is the lack of serious solutions by the Central Bank of Iraq to this situation, but rather the move towards canceling the FITR platform at the end of 2024 and handing over the dollar file to banks affiliated with investors and foreign banks, Jordanian and Gulf. Hantoush wondered, does the Central Bank of Iraq know that by not finding solutions for the Iraqi banking sector, it will fire the coup de grace on the entire Iraqi banking system and become punished as a whole, which will lay off nearly 100,000 workers in the Iraqi private banking sector for the benefit of Jordan and the Gulf countries? And why is it not guaranteed? Iraqi banks are required to open an account in correspondent banks in dollars, Citibank, JP Morgan, as the countries of the region have done. He continued, why has the cooperation and auditing mechanism not yet been identified and announced with Ernst & Young regarding transfers in currencies other than the dollar? Iraq today is more secure, stable and open. UN Iraqi News December 6, 2024 Baghdad, IraqiNews.com. Iraq, which has so far escaped being drawn into the escalating Middle East conflict, has seen positive improvements in recent months, but corruption and other challenges still exist, the country's new UN Special Representative told the UN Security Council. Iraq today is more secure, stable and open, despite the many obstacles facing the country, said Mohammed Al-Hassan, Iraq's new UN Special Representative. Iraq is capable of overcoming crises and facing challenges towards forging a more secure, bright, and hopeful future, according to the envoy, who also serves as the head of the UN Assistance Mission in Iraq, UNAMI. Today's Iraq is not the same as the Iraq of 20 years ago, or even 5 years ago, added Al-Hassan. Al-Hassan praised Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani's efforts on behalf of the Iraqi government, particularly with regional conflicts in the Middle East. Iraq's government has shown strong resolve to keep the country out of the widening regional conflict. while standing firm as a strong voice for regional peace and stability, said al-Hassan. Furthermore, the UN Special Representative commended Baghdad's push for major infrastructure projects throughout the country, including building roads, bridges, schools and transportation networks. December 5, 2024, His Excellency the Governor of the Central Bank of Iraq, Mr. Ali Mohsen al-Alak, chaired an expanded meeting to discuss the Rafadain Bank restructuring project. While the committee for this project included Mr. Undersecretary of the Iraqi Ministry of Finance, Rabaz Mohammed Abdullah, officials of the Central Bank of Iraq, the state advisor to the Prime Minister, the head of the World Bank mission in Iraq, and a representative of Rafadain Bank, as well as members of Ernst & Young as an expert auditor and consultant in the structuring process. The regional director of the World Bank in Iraq, Mr. Emmanuel Salinas, explained the reality of working on this project, in which he presented the opportunities available within the banking work environment in Iraq and the mechanism for developing the structuring plan in its operational and financial aspects. Meanwhile, Mr. Firaz Kalani, an expert in the structuring project from Ernst & Young, explained that the project has progressed very significantly since its start in September of 2024 and has currently reached 74%. The next phase of the scope of work will be completed at the end of this month, and the transition to the phase advanced in this project. While His Excellency the Governor confirmed that the support of the Prime Minister of Iraq in this aspect positively accelerated the progress of the project, to reach important stages in the structuring and development process in the Rafadain Bank. Central Bank of Iraq Media Office. Listen to the full version on the official dinarreport.com website and become our supporter on Patreon. Source: dinarrecaps.com